Hey everyone, Ida from PJP here, and welcome back to Headline Mondays. So, what happened last week? Well, as you might have seen, during the Chinese Grand Prix, there was a pit lane incident at the Alpine garage when Pierre came into pit, where basically he drove off and a wheel of the car was not on properly, meaning the force of him driving off kind of threw back the mechanic that was holding the wheel. And thankfully the mechanic wasn't badly hurt and everything. But because of this, Alpine was fined $10,000, but thankfully, because the mechanic wasn't too badly hurt, and also because the light that indicates that the pit stop is done so the driver can drive off was also lit. So it was found that there was no wrongdoing on Pierre's part, because that light was clearly indicating you're good to go, when he wasn't, because that wheel was not on the car properly. And then we have some Mercedes updates. They said that they will bring some updates to the Miami GP that were originally slated for Imola only, which is an indication of how, dare I say, badly they're doing, but thankfully they could fast track those updates. And then we have some RB news, and they too are bringing upgrades to Miami. And then on the Daniel front, he will have a 3-place grid penalty to serve in Miami because he overtook Nico Hülkenberg under the safety car in China. And so he will serve that during the sprint. Because remember, we're once again in a sprint weekend. And then we have some Red Bull news. And that is that Max has a new helmet for Miami and all 3 US GPs. So he will wear the same helmet in Miami, Austin, and of course Vegas. And then on other RB or potentially not RB news is that it is rumored that Adrian Newey told Red Bull that he's leaving, although sources say that there has been no formal notice given by him. So we'll see what happens. But let's just say it has the F1 world buzzing, because everyone's like, where is he going? Is he retiring? What's happening? Because remember, his contract was supposed to go until 2025. But also, because he's a high-ranking Red Bull member, he will likely have to serve a year of what's called gardening leave, which is basically where he's still paid by Red Bull, but he's not allowed to work for Red Bull anymore. And this is often done to high-ranking members to protect car secrets from season to season, so that, for example, if say he were to go to Ferrari, which is one of the rumors, he could not take the secrets or the setups that they have, that Red Bull has now, to Ferrari for 2025. So basically, he would only have knowledge of older specs, not the new specs that they're bringing to 2025. Well, and then that was a smooth transition because we're going to talk about Ferrari next. So they have a bunch of updates too. They will run, on one hand, they will run a blue livery and also have blue racing suits for Miami to commemorate the anniversary of them entering the US market. And they also announced a new title sponsor, HP, ahead of the GP, meaning that after Miami, they will be, sorry, I misspoke. Basically from 2025, they will be known as Scuderia Ferrari HP, which I don't think they ever had a title sponsor, at least not from what I can recall. So that's definitely a change of pace. But I mean, because they have Lewis coming in and the rumor of Adrian Newey, so they gotta get that money somewhere, if it's all true, that is. And then we have some silly season news with the announcement of Hülkenberg leaving Haas and joining Sauber in 2025 ahead of 2026 when they will become Audi. Which honestly, it kind of makes sense because German manufacturer, German car. I mean, Mercedes did the same thing when they entered the sport with Schumacher and Rosberg, so I kind of saw it coming, honestly. But at the same time, I feel like Hülkenberg is doing well in that Haas, so I'm also semi-surprised that at least that Haas let him go. That Audi offer / Sauber offer must have been really good. And then we have some Aston Martin news because apparently Lawrence Stroll, the part owner of the team, is looking to sell 25% of his stake in the team to who we don't know yet, but he is definitely trying to get some more money or get his money back because apparently those upgrades that they did to the new factory in Silverstone, the new Aston Martin factory, were not cheap. And then we have some general F1 and F1 adjacent news. So on one hand, top teams all say they aren't opposed to implementing a new point system where positions 11 and 12 would also score points, not just the top 10, like it is now. But for that to be implemented, 5 teams on the grid, so basically half the grid, plus F1, plus the FIA have to all agree to this. But I mean, with top teams saying they're for it, and that usually means like Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, and McLaren, oftentimes. It's kind of almost a done deal because if those 4 say we're good, they would only need 1 more vote. And honestly, if a more midfield / backmarker team gets the ability to score points more easily, I think they would go for it. And then we have the news that South Korea and Thailand expressed interest in hosting F1 races. And if you guys remember, Korea, or South Korea rather, actually had the GP once, and in 2012. And if you just want to laugh, Google or YouTube 2012 F1 Korea GP intro. It is hilarious and very, dare I say, out of character for a lot of the drivers on the grid at that time. And then we have some F1 Academy news, who will, by the way, also be racing in Miami. So last year's winner, Marta Garcia, will take part in the Formula E rookie test in Berlin. Fun times. I really hope it goes well for her and that she potentially gets a seat. And then we have some Formula One news, because that body announced that there will be a new free streaming service for the US market where they will show race replays and highlights of F1 and the feeder series. So from what I understand, it is almost like an F1 TV Lite, because with F1 TV, at least with the Pro subscription, you can watch the races live, and this is more just like archival stuff, which is nice that you get access to it for free. I just wonder whether, because I couldn't find anything on it, whether it by historic races they mean not from the current season, or say if, because for example, the Chinese GP just passed, whether you could watch it now, you just can't watch it live. So that will be interesting to see, because it's free. So I wonder, knowing how companies work in these streaming services, it's more likely that right now you could only watch 2023 races and older, but we'll see. It's exciting nonetheless. And then we have another card company next to Visa. We now have MasterCard that is in talks with apparently 4 F1 teams regarding a title sponsorship, and apparently McLaren is a frontrunner for that title sponsorship. So will we see MasterCard McLaren or McLaren MasterCard on the grid next year? Who knows? And that's it for this week. See you guys next week. Bye.